So, guess who got traded? Bo Horvat. Hey, it's so exciting. So, let's just jump right into it. Let's jump right over to the screen where we're talking about what the Vancouver Canucks announced today. So, yeah, here. Vancouver Canucks general manager Patrick Allvin announced today that the team has acquired forward Anthony Bolivier, at center Ratu, by the way, is the way you say it. A protected 2023 first-round draft pick from the New York Islanders in exchange for center Bo Horvat, which is exciting because the Islanders, they need scoring. They are very offensively minded. They win games like 2-1, 3-2, like 1-0. Very great in the great defensive system, by the way, with a great goalie, probably winning the Vezina with Ilya Sorokin. So this is a great pickup for them. This is very smart for what the Islanders need, but probably not the right year to do it in. To be honest, they should. To me, they're still hardly a wild card team, if that, right. They're not doing that great in the standings. So I'm glad that it's probably better they're doing it now, right? Get the player, get acclimated. And by the way, we're nowhere near the trade deadline. The trade deadline is early March, so this is a very forward move, which is kind of exciting because it's like, hey, like this is this is good. This means that the trades are going to start happening. We're going to start seeing moving and shaking. And as Red Wings fan, I'm just excited that there's no longer going to be Red Wings talk about getting Bo Horvat. I just don't think it's the right move personally. If you're going to, then you're really going for the playoffs. But that's just me. So, anyways, so the one thing, so let's go jumping right into it. So let's break it down a little bit further. So you see that the Islanders are getting Bo Horvat they're getting him at 75% of the cap hit. So that means that Vancouver is retaining 25%. So you can see that the Islanders are only taking on $4.125 million, and they're sending over Anthony Bolivier. And Aturatu, who is a prospect, by the way. He was 52nd overall. We'll talk about him in a little bit. He's currently playing in the AHL. And the conditional first. Now, the condition on the first is that let's scoot it over a little bit. Oh, it's not doing that. Move this over. Never mind. It's locked in. Anyways, so if this is an unprotected 2024 first, this is a 2023 first round pick. The condition is if it's in the top 12, it goes to an unprotected 2024 first round pick. So the reason that this is weird for the Islanders to do is that Bo Horvat is a rental because he might sign a long-term deal, maybe, but he's really a rental. He's has helped them go farther in the playoffs and everything. Mind you, the Islanders did miss the playoffs last year, and they do need scoring. So it's not a bad thing. They do need scoring. But I just don't know if this is the right move, like I said. So, and with this draft being stacked, I actually saw a tweet today that said teams are the 2023 draft is so stacked that teams would rather take a second round this year than a first round in 2024. So that just shows you how valuable and how deep this draft is. So for them to trade this is interesting and only to be top 12 protected. Maybe I thought we'd top 15 at least, just so that way, like, gives them more flexibility if they miss the playoffs. But hey, the Islanders want to make the moves. We're actually going to talk about the Islanders. So Lou Lamoriello is the Islanders GM right now, and was at once the GM of the Vancouver Canucks. So actually, I'm going to just jump over this real quick. I thought this was really, really interesting. So you can actually see. I don't have it pulled up. Anyways, so Lou Lamoriello, while he was with the Vancouver Canucks, traded a goalie away to the Islanders, or he traded a player to the Islanders for the 9th overall pick in 2013. And in 2013, that draft pick was Bo Horvat. So that means that Lou Lamoriello, while in Vancouver in 2013, drafted Bo Horvat. Now, Lou Lamoriello is over with the Islanders, been over there for a couple of years, and is now just picked up Bo Horvat in a trade. So you can see how valuable he finds this player. And by the way, Lou Lamoriello is in his 80s. He is a very old GM, and he's making some weird moves, but I think I'm glad he's going for it. Honestly, the Islanders prospect pool is terrible. They're probably one of the worst. I don't think they picked out in the first round since they picked in the first round, and then they trade away for those players for Reynolds to go further into the playoffs. So we'll see how they are in a couple of years. But anyways, let's jump over. So Bo Horvat, the reason they're picking this guy up, okay? Overall, you can see his production about a half a point to 3/4 of a point per game. You can see 50 and 81, 44 and 64. So does well. He's a pretty good producer, and he's a center too, right? Captain of the Vancouver Canucks. But this year, he's on another level. Look, so you can see in 21-22, 31 goals, 70 games. So 31 goals, 21 assists, 52 points in 70 games. He surpassed this, same goals, more assists in 49 games. So this guy's on a heater. He is doing phenomenally well, over a point per game player, potentially going to hit 90 plus points. So this is one of the reasons, and clearly he's scoring 31 goals. I think he's up there. He's in the race for the Rocket Richard, which is the person who scores the most goals in the NHL. Austin Matthews won it last year with 62 goals. And someone hasn't scored 60 goals in 10 years. It was Steven Stamkos. So this is exactly what you're looking for. You're trying to get this goal scoring. That's what you're trying to do. And the Islanders desperately need it. Now, actually, I just want to jump over real quick to a picture of Bo Horvat. And he does keep it pretty clean. But Lou Lamoriello of the Islanders is very known for having all of his players shave every day. Every day his players have to shave. If you get traded to the Islanders, you must shave, which I think is really interesting. I'm not shaving. I probably need to start shaving. Doesn't look too bad on camera, though, thankfully. Anyways, so you can see Bo Horvat is at the end of his contract. Like I said, he is a rental for the Islanders, so he will be traded off soon. Or he could be. Now, the Vancouver, or Lou Lamoriello of the Islanders, again, GM of the Islanders, did say that he's looking, they're going to not talk to Bo Horvat's camp about extending him, but Bo Horvat did talk about, he did think he was going to be a Canucks his whole career. So it's a little bit of a shock to him. I guess he's not surprised. I think he really wanted to get a contract done with the Vancouver Canucks. And it just didn't work out. So hopefully he finds out where he wants to go, and he can get, go where he wants to. Really, and that's the thing, is he's a free agent after this, right? So when it comes around in July, he can go to free agent and go right to the market and go wherever he wants and sign wherever he wants and get a $7-year deal. Just like because he's a big star now, he's gonna go out there and try and make $8 million. I'm sure he can get a 7-year, $8 million deal. So. Again, we talked about Bo Horvat and why he's the main piece. By the way, I do think the Islanders won this deal, I would say. So, of this deal, if I was the Vancouver Canucks, I don't think I would take it. I think you could have got a little bit more for Bo Horvat, but I think because of this deal of the Islanders and the Vancouver Canucks, I do think that the Islanders won because they got the best player out of this. Okay, now Aatu Räty has the very high ceiling as well, but we're going to talk about him in a second. Let's just jump over to one of the pieces that was thrown in. This is probably more for salary purposes, but also we know the Vancouver Canucks did say they wanted people who can play in the NHL right now. They wanted NHL players who are active, and what they phrased it as is they said, hey, we want guys who are just out of their ELCs, their entry-level contracts, kind of maybe on bridge deals, in their younger players. And Anthony Bolivia, let's jump over him. He is only 25 years old right here, you can see. So he's a younger player. He still has a lot of gas in him, so he still hasn't been solidified as we don't know what kind of player he is yet. And the nice thing is about with the, you get rid of some of these damn sponsors. Yeah, I wish I was sponsored. Anyways, you can see that Bolivier is going to be locked up. He's got this year and he's got next year. So they have room to help this guy grow. You can kind of see what he is. And if you decide at the end, look, he is a UFA, so you can flip him. So you can eventually flip him and get more picks with the Vancouver Canucks, or get another player and trade him out. So if they're looking for, not project, I would say project maybe is too low, but they want people who have not performed to expectations. Now, you can actually, if you can look up here, we'll scroll up. You can see, where is it? Right here. So he was drafted in the first round. So that was one of the stipulations, that they wanted 2 first rounders. Vancouver wanted 2 first rounders coming back. And so, look at that. There's Bo Horvat right there, by the way. And so they did get a first rounder in Anthony Bolivier in 2015. So there's one of the stipulations. Now let's jump over to what he has done so far this year. He has been able, not maybe not to the highest caliber. I mean, for a low first rounder, I'd say he, not that he exceeded expectations, but he kind of met them in my opinion, or he's around there, maybe a little bit below. But you can see he's just under, about a half point per game right here. He had a down year in 2021, 2022, and he's not doing great. A little under half a point per game, actually, probably. So about 0.4 points per game right now. But again, he is a dual player. He maybe this change. And what happens to a lot of players is that when they get that change, when they get the change of scenery, they can actually explode. You see that with a lot of players that they just turn on the Jets and they end up being. It ends up working out really well for them, right? We saw that. We knew that Kubalik, the Red Wings picked up Kubalik in the offseason, and they signed him to a 2-year deal, and he was he had in his rookie year, he had 30 goals, which is wild. As a rookie, he had 30 goals. Then the next 2 years, he kind of staved off, couldn't get that same production, and now he's doing really well. He's definitely going to hit at least 20 goals, which is awesome for the Red Wings, who are doing... They're not good, man. They're just not good. And I can talk about the Red Wings all day. I can talk shit about them. I can talk good about them. I can do anything with the Red Wings. Like I said, I can talk from any perspective, and I can give you all the dirty details and what I think. But we're not talking about them today. So again, he's a usable player, a serviceable player, a player that they can use and they can work with. So he does play left wing, so you aren't getting a center back in this, but you get Aatu Räty, who is a center. So let's jump over to Aatu Räty right now. So let's go to Cap Friendly right now. So Cap Friendly, the reason I'm using this one is because, by the way, Aatu Räty, he's Finnish, so that's how you say his name. He's currently on his entry-level contract. He was drafted later in the second round, 52 overall. And he is still on his ELC's entry-level contract and will be an RFA, a restricted free agent, at the end of this. So that means they got him for this year. And by the way, he will be playing for the Abbotsford Canucks, who are the AHL team for the Vancouver Canucks. So he'll be playing down there. And he's got 2 more years after that before he has to sign his first NHL contract outside of his ELC. And so one of the interesting things that I really liked about this trade, and we'll jump over to his stats just so you can see him. So you can see with over here you have his stats, and he did really well right here. So let's actually jump over. So he was actually drafted in the 2021 draft, and the reason that's important is because you can see right here 2021, 2022. This is after his draft year. There was a lot of talks about Aatu Räty being a number 1 overall draft in 2021. That's how good this guy was. Again, he's a center, and he looked like a boss, and you can see it. He played in La Liga. I think is the way I say it. It's I forget what league. Oh, Europe. Sorry, I just got excited about this because I actually remember that team. I've been learning about some of the Finnish teams as well. So he's playing the La Liga team, league, which is the one where Jaromír Slafkovský came from. So he was the number 1 overall draft in 2022. Again, look at point per game player, awesome player. Look at this, plus or minus 26, awesome. The thing is, the crazy thing was that he was potentially going to go number 1 overall, and he dropped not only to the second round but the mid-second round. So you're looking at a player and you're like, why? He had this great production. He's center, which centers typically go higher because there's a higher need for them, right? You can always move a center to a wing. You can't always move a winger to a center. It just doesn't always work. Make note of William Nylander, great winger, not a great center. And he plays with the Toronto Maple Leafs, if you don't know. But Aatu Räty has this high ceiling, and he has this high potential, and he's a really dynamic player, and he can dangle guys. He's not super fast, but he does have some wheels on him to the point where he can dangle guys and has great moves. And he's a little bit more, I'm not trying to say a selfish player, but he does take control of the play and takes it. He can take the puck down, which is great. Works a little bit more solo, but it's working out well for him. Down in the AHL, again, this is his first, it's really his second full year in the AHL. You can see, and he did some a little bit. Again, you can see a little bit with the Islanders, a little bit with the New York Islanders, a little bit with the Bridgeport Islanders, the AHL team for the Islanders. So you can see not really produced 2 goals in 12 games. Again, he's a rookie. He got drafted like 6 months ago, right? So he's not expected to be a dynamic player. He's not one of the ones that is looking to jump right into the league and stay there long term, but getting his feet wet a little bit with a little bit of NHL experience. So with that, but the issue is with him. He was supposed to go number one overall, and there was a huge red flags in terms of attitude and work ethic, which I thought was, and so it means you can have, and that's something that, of course, teams are looking at. They want to see that he's a high compete, high energy. He really wants it, and so this is where it's interesting that this player is a high risk, but he could be high reward, right? So it might working out. It might be something like what you're seeing with, actually, ironically, with Bo Horvat right now. High flying player last year, was a high risk to sign this deal for him. I think it was like a 7x7, and now he's not playing that well. But again, it's a good prospect. So again, high risk, high reward, and so the Vancouver Canucks, again, looking for those project players. And so it's really interesting, though. I thought, again, this is kind of where I was mentioning the GM. So if you jump over here, we can see Canucks. This is Dave Pagnotta on Twitter. GM Patrick Alvin starts his presser thanking Horvat for his time in Vancouver. On the return, quote, "We got 3 first rounders back here." Note that three first rounders back here. I think it's important for us to get a first round pick back, a good prospect in Ratu, and a 25-year-old in Bolivia. So the funny thing I was thinking about that with it is that, like I just mentioned right here, this guy mentions Atu Ratu, famously not drafted in the first round. Again, maybe that first round caliber, but not drafted in the first round. So hopefully he works out. I mean, I want the best for all players. I want them to do well, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do well. So, okay, I hope for the best. I think that I don't care. I don't like the direction that either of these teams are going. I think that the Islanders need to do a soft retool, or a quick 1 year, 2 year thing, kind of just restack the decks. I think they have some weird contracts where they're stacked up a little too high, a little bit too expensive. Like they have things like $4, $5, $6 million contracts that really eat up. They're good players, but not good enough players to change their game. So, but they do roll 4 lines, so that is something that's beneficial. So hopefully this is what Horvat's going to help. And then with Vancouver, again, I think they should do a full teardown, get rid of them all, clean house. Honestly, send Niels Höglander over to the Detroit Red Wings. That'd be phenomenal. I'd be okay with that. I'll take Quinn Hughes. I mean, I'll take any of them, really. And there's some great prospects that they have that are coming up that they're just I'd like them, Let them tear it down and let the Red Wings pick up the pieces. So anyways, so that's what we got today. That was the analysis on the Bo Horvat trade. By the way, I'm also wearing the Seattle Kraken's hat, one because it's a new hat. But the person that they were sending the Vancouver Canucks were going to send to the All-Star game was Bo Horvat. Now Bo Horvat is going as an Islander. And also the Islanders are already sending Sorokin as well. And by the way, also another reason is Gary Bettman also talks about how they want one person from every team coming. Well, Matty Beniers, second overall pick of the 2021 draft, it got drafted by Seattle, and he got injured. And now they're not sending. Now they decided to send William Karlsson of the Vegas Golden Knights. So now Seattle's not represented at all. I mean, you couldn't find one player to send over. I was gonna make a whole video on this, but I can just rant on in the end. It's silly. It's silly. So, anyways, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how I can help. Let me know if you have any. Tell me I'm wrong, man. Just tell me I'm wrong. Tell me like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Love you, and talk to you soon.